Hey, so we are here and we're going to be covering 5 Diablo 4 tips you must know before starting an alt. I had originally done a video when at the release of Diablo about starting an alt and everything you could do to get ready for it. And I do want to do a quick recap. And then we're going to go into things that I basically learned after starting numerous alts that made my gameplay so much better. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to complete the campaign. Then you're going to want to complete the renown, which part of that is looking more of the maps, doing side quests, and doing all the altars of Lilith. When you do those things, you then come into the beginning of any alt. From that point on, as long as you've done it with one class all the way through, or one character all the way through, then you get that for every alt after that. So what that's going to give you is additional skill points right at the beginning. It's going to give you Paragon points as soon as you hit 50. It's going to give you all the map unlocks. So if you've uncovered all the areas, you're going to get certain waypoints. Not every waypoint that you had open or every waypoint, but it's going to give you the waypoints that are core to Diablo, so you can get away around very quickly and you're not opening those again. Now let's look at the things that really helped me go to the next level after starting numerous alts. The very first thing that you can do is collect certain types of materials. And depending on how easy breezy you want the alt to be, how fast you want to whip through the game, getting certain alts that are a lot easier to get when you have an endgame character, that's where you're going to want to start. Now, these stocking up on materials is based on the season. You can't go take it from the Eternal Realm and move it. But when you start your first main in a season and you go through that, or you're just playing in the Eternal Realm and you already have an endgame character, that main character is going to be able to grind a lot faster for core things. Now, the additional thing that wasn't originally there when we did our first video is going to be the bossing materials. So you can also collect this. This is universal for every character on that season. You can also get all of those gem fragments. So then any class, I can just go in and I can make whatever possible gem I can use for that build. I have it already here. We can get all those materials for the potion making right here. These are all the herbs we can collect. These fiend roses are for certain upgrades. These are collected in Hell Tides. Your endgame character can crush through those and get a ton of these. And that really sets you up on the right track. The next thing you can do that's a major advantage for alts is we know we probably need some like stash space. We want some room to actually store some of the stuff that we're getting for that build. But how do you do that quickly? In the current state of this game, there is a lot more options than there was before. And so I'm going to go through a few of them. The very first one is the fact that when you come in, let's say we're out here, let's go to our stash. When we come into here, we now have these filters down at the bottom. Hopefully these become even more advanced over time. But I'm going to show you a really quick way to make it easy to compare things and decide what you need and what you don't need so you can start clearing up space relatively fast. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick something like, let's say that I'm going to look at boots. I don't really need the boot roll I have is pretty good. I don't need a lot of aspects. I know I'm looking for Ghostwalker more or less. So anything on there that I don't think I would pull off and put on something else, I'd probably get rid of. But what I do is in the filter here, I search for boots. And then that'll show me every boot that is actually coming here. And up here, it'll tell me the numbers of them. So how many is in each of these. And then what I do is I just take them and I put them over in my bag. That is it. I'm going to put them all in one place. This allows me to compare them. So I didn't have to create a great sort. I don't have to have all the boots in one tab. I can just kind of bring them over and then I can sort them. So at least I have my item power range, like the highest item power all the way down. And then I can start looking at them. If I'm looking at rares, like say a bunch of rares, just because, I'm not sure what aspects, fixes I want, then I can like sort by that and then compare them. So in this one, like in this case, like this is 2 evade charges. And yeah, honestly, none of this do I need. So I'm actually going to drop this down here. This is going to tell me to break it down. And then when I go to put other things back in the bag, I'm not going to take that with me. So then what I can do is I can keep looking and I can see also if there's additional either uniques that are the same, so I can compare those against, let's see, these penitent greaves. I can put those next to each other and then I can look at them and see if there's one that's significantly better. Because why would I need multiple pairs? I'm not even using it for this current build, but I like to keep the uniques as much as I can. So as I go through this, and then I can also do the same with affixes. So if I see like this one is a 19 out of 20 Ghost Walker, I don't necessarily need that. So let's go ahead and take that one out. That's actually just going to be a breakdown. Here's another good walker. So that was 19. Yeah, I definitely don't need it. So you see that you'll start seeing similar aspects as well roll for these. And if you don't actually need it, like that's a shit roll. I don't need that at all. So I'm just going to drop that down. And so now I can break these up and then put these back. And that'll still happen by the time I go through all of my armor or my weapons or my amulets, whatever I need to do. Usually it's pretty easy to get at least a full bag slot that is just for my alt. So if that isn't enough, then we can look to aspects. So I'm going to search Ancestral Charge. So now Ancestral Charge, I have 2. I can look at these quickly. As long as I don't need the item itself or the affixes on it, then I'm just looking at this for the actual aspect. But as you keep going through that, you'll find that this is another way to start clearing out aspects that are also overlapped. And you can either decide, hey, I'm not using that piece at all. I'll just break the aspect down and put it into an imprint. And then I can stash it elsewhere and not worry about the item. So I don't have to sort that again. Now, the last thing you're going to do, if this still didn't help, this was not enough, there's one last thing you can do by actually taking and using your current main. So what I like to do is I kind of put my main on ice. I'm kind of archiving. I'm not switching back and forth between them. I'm just going to spend some serious time leveling up my new alt and just there. So what I can do is use the bag space here to drop off items that are just for this build that don't really fit anything else. Things that are special for the barbarian in this case. I can also, as I break down those aspects, I have all this space as well. By that time, if doing the things above and then doing this, you're going to have plenty of space for at least a single stash chest for just your alt, and you can just drop all the things in there. Now, this has still been an absolute pain, and I've seen a number of people go through it. And so I want to show you this. It was in the original video, but it's so important that I do want to show it again and make it one of the points, not just a recap on something. So let's say that I have been building up my barbarian, and I come in here and I have these aspects, and I throw them into my bag. Maybe there's something like this protecting defense, and I throw that into my stash, and I want to try to use it for my alt. If I look at the aspects here, it has an item level and a level requirement. So it says it requires level 80 here, and it's a 925, and this one requires level 41. So let's say that I'm in early game, about to go in the capstone, and I have one of the aspects that I want to put on my build, and I go and take it, and it's one of these that has like a level 80 requirement. Well, if I come in here and I try to take this and put it here, and I put an item, whatever the level requirement of this aspect is, this item is going to become that level. So let's say it's a perfect roll. I'm level 45. It's requirements level 40. It's great. It's the perfect. It fixes it. It's everything I want. I just want this aspect on it. Then I roll it. Suddenly that low level item thing gets jumped to level 60. So you can no longer use it until you get to level 60, which the chances are how fast you go through gear in early game, you're going to blow way out of that one. By the time you get to level 60, it's not going to be worth a damn anyway. And so this really sucked because I had a perfect thing. I was so excited to roll it. I was like, oh, I'll just get this aspect. I have this one. I'm not using it for my other build. I'll just throw it on there. And suddenly this jumps to the higher level, and now I can't use it. So just pay attention. Don't make that mistake. Check the level of the imprints that you're putting on there and make sure it is still something you're going to be able to use once you do it. So this is another thing that I think people often overlook when they're going from their main to their alts. There's reasons we go from our main to our alts. There's another part of the game fantasy we want. We want to try a different build. We saw a friend that had this crazy build. We want to try that. But generally, there is a little bit of a debrief that I like to do before I switch over and choose. And that is just going, what do I like and not like about this current build? And so I think, okay, what did I really enjoy about it? What did I not like about it? So then when I'm looking for the classes, I'm asking myself, okay, is this gameplay still very similar, or is it different enough that I'm going to get something I want? So if I didn't like this, does this take it away? So if I was kind of tired of being in the fray and always being at risk and, getting popped suddenly all of the time, or just feeling always worrying about my life and that it was high stress, maybe I find something that has a little bit more range on it. So I'm not always in the pit surrounded by a ton of guys, so that any mistake I make, I'm dead. So you might think, is that something you like? Or maybe that's what you want. Maybe you want to be in the thick of it and stop trying to figure out the right angle from a range position to really make it all happen. So thinking about those a little bit ahead of time will make sure that the time you spend putting into an alt is well worth it. So before you start it, just find out what you would like from it and what you don't want from that next build to make sure that you are enjoying your time in Sanctuary. So this next point is something that is one of my favorite things about playing alts. It makes you feel crazy powerful. It's what to do with those 9 skill points you get right off the bat. What it allows you to do is something particularly cool. So you can come in here, you need 2 skills somewhere up in here. So I usually pick one ability, and usually it's second node, whatever it is of the 4 here, basic skills. and then that will open up my core skill node. So from here, these are usually the core items that like build, that all builds are built on. So in any class, you have your basics and you have your core. The core is usually what the build is made based on. So when I come in here in early game, I have the 2 points here, but I can max out any one of these. So I can go all whirlwind and go up the chain. And because it's so easy to respec in early game, this allows me to go and get the feel for the different core skills of that class and feel crazy powerful moving through the game and just kind of crushing with this overpowered 5 points here and the whole chain. It just makes these incredibly powerful. So then I'll play with whirlwind for a while. I'll switch that out. I'll take those points out and I'll try upheaval. And I'll just keep switching between these in early game because it doesn't really matter that much other than what feels good to you. But that gives you a chance to really test those out. So there is yet another thing I want to give. Leveling is one of the biggest things. And I want to give just a few tips to help you with the early leveling. The first thing that I can give, no matter what, and you'll see this like plenty of people give this, unless you're looking for a challenge, there's not a lot of reason to go to World Tier 2. Stay in World Tier 1. You'll clear through mobs fast, you'll get that experience, and really get to World Tier 3 and 4 where your builds start to actually matter. The next thing is in early game, don't waste time doing a lot of decision making on your weapons and your armors and trying to collect all the aspects. They're only going to matter for a few minutes while you're trying to clear the capstone. Before that, you're just wiping through the material, and other than a core aspect that like sets your build, you know, makes your build strong, I'd focus on that and maybe keep that one. All the other pieces, if it's more damage on a weapon, I'll equip it. If it's more armor, I'll equip it. I'm not paying that much attention to the affixes, and I'm definitely not paying that much attention to the aspects. So that is true right up until I get to the capstone, where I'm still not trying to get a perfect build, but it is nice when you're going to the capstone, coming over to the occultist and checking out what's available in your Codex of Power. So if you cleared some dungeons while you're doing the thing, or even target the dungeons on purpose, you just try to make sure that any rares that don't have something on them before you go into the capstone, you can throw those on really quick. The other thing to do is it's easy and affordable to upgrade up until level 3 for any item that you have going, or any item that you want. It's not that expensive because you have an end game character that can crush and collect materials very easily. So making sure that you use just some gold and some of the really basic materials. When you get to 4 and 5, you start using end game materials that you don't really want to strip through just to level up an item you're going to use for about 5 minutes and then switch out because you find something better. But going to the level 3 in your gear is a very easy way to build up a lot of power without a lot of cost. One last thing that I do want to give is anywhere you can increase speed, because a lot of it, we don't think about it, but a lot of it's the movement time, moving from one thing to another. So if we can add more speed on our boots, even if we're not having, there's not an aspect on it, or the affixes suck or whatever, I'm willing to give up some of the power of just going a higher armor and just leaving the speed on there as well. So that's something else I look for. So if you're leveling alt right now, make sure you don't miss this video where I go through 16 tips and tricks that will massively speed up your gearing and help you gear like a pro.